E.T. phone home. Phone home.
E.T. wasn't supposed to be a heartwarming classic. He was supposed to be part of a horror movie with mutilated cows and burning children's hands. But Spielberg threw that out. Why? Well, because he was going through something personal, and it changed movie history. But Beneath the Glowing Heart, The Bike Across the Moon is a film with secrets, and a few of them might change how you see it. In the next few minutes, you'll learn that E.T. may actually live in the Star Wars universe, and Spielberg got rich because of it, and that nearly every adult you see in the movie was shot like a horror villain until he purposefully breaks his own rule, and where you can find the film's little-known sequel. Let's explore 20 weird facts about E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial and phone home like you've never phoned home before. So where did E.T. actually come from? Well, let's rewind the tape and start with the story's strange beginnings at number 1. E.T. was born out of Spielberg's childhood divorce. During Close Encounters, he had a moment of inspiration where he wondered, what if that little creature never went back to the ship? What if the creature was part of a foreign exchange program? Spielberg had already been imagining a film about how children cope with broken homes. He combined that raw idea with a project about aliens and landed on a story whose theme he described as how to fill the heart of a lonely child. Number 2, it all takes place in a stylized slice of suburbia. Spielberg deliberately set E.T. in a part of suburban California rarely depicted on screen, specifically the San Fernando Valley. He described it as his version of a Norman Rockwell town, nostalgic, warm, and grounded in middle-class reality. Later, scenes were shot in Redwood National Park, using the towering ancient trees to represent the edge of the unknown. The contrast between cozy suburbia and the vast, mysterious forest helped reinforce the wonder that is central to the film. Number 3. From no thanks to movie magic. Screenwriter Melissa Matheson was originally not interested in the project after being approached by Spielberg during filming of Raiders of the Lost Ark, but luckily for cinema-goers, her then-boyfriend Harrison Ford convinced her to take on the project. She crafted the screenplay after hours of recorded chats with Spielberg, distilling his emotional vision into a tight narrative structure in just 8 weeks. Number 4. The night skies could have been much scarier. Spielberg envisioned his follow-up to Close Encounters of the Third Kind with a group of aggressive extraterrestrials tormenting a farmhouse family. The project, called Night Skies, was based loosely on the 1955 Kelly Hopkinsville encounter in Kentucky, where a rural family claimed that they were being attacked by aliens. The script, written by John Sayles, featured scenes like a cow being mutilated and a child's fingers being burned by an alien. One of the creatures, however, was different. A curious, gentle alien who befriended the family's autistic son. Spielberg found himself increasingly drawn to that lone, peaceful character, and eventually he abandoned Night Skies entirely. That character became the prototype for E.T. The horror project's bones would go on to influence Poltergeist, which Spielberg produced, while E.T. became the heart-first pivot that changed his career and family sci-fi forever. Number 5. Henry Thomas landed the role by crying over his imaginary dog. When Spielberg auditioned Henry Thomas for the role of Elliot, he asked him to improvise a scene where the government was trying to take E.T. away.
You can't take him.
Well, I'm afraid I have to, son.
Can't take him away, he's mine!
Okay, kid, you got the job.
He turned to the casting director and simply said, "Okay, kid, you got the job." You can even find the original audition footage online. It's just as moving as anything in the final cut. But E.T. wasn't just an idea, it was a feeling, and the cast helped make that magic stick, and here's how. Number 6. Spielberg mastered directing kids. The set of E.T. wasn't your average Hollywood production. It felt more like a summer camp for the cast. Spielberg spent time between takes playing basketball, goofing off, and just hanging out with the kids, making sure the mood stayed light even when the story got heavy. Now, this wasn't just for fun, it was deliberate. He wanted the actors to feel like real kids, not scripted robots. That's why he encouraged them to improvise lines. The famous "I don't like his feet" moment, that came straight from Drew Barrymore herself. But Spielberg's bond with Drew went deeper than just directing. Later in life, Drew would say Spielberg was the first person who she knew that genuinely cared about her. He didn't just direct her, he became her godfather. His care for the young child actor who was about to have her life changed dramatically was authentic. Number 7, Drew Barrymore thought E.T. was real. At just 6 years old, Drew Barrymore didn't realize E.T. was a puppet.
I taught him how to talk now. He can talk now.
She fully believed he was alive. Spielberg, recognizing how deeply she connected to the character, went out of his way to preserve the illusion. He even assigned a puppeteer to keep E.T. alive between takes, moving and breathing so Drew would never see him as a prop. Number 8, Spielberg shot the film in chronological order, which is rare in Hollywood. To help the child actors form real emotional bonds with E.T., Spielberg made the rare choice to shoot the movie in order from beginning to end. That meant the cast's reactions, especially in the goodbye scene, were authentic. By the time the farewell was filmed, the kids were saying goodbye to something they truly loved. No acting required. Number 9, E.T. was voiced by a woman who smoked 2 packs a day. E.T.'s scratchy, otherworldly voice came from an unlikely source. A woman named Pat Welsh, who smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day. Spielberg wanted something organic and human, less robotic than the typical alien voice. Welsh's raspy tone gave E.T. his emotional, gravelly charm.
E.T. phone home, 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 home.
Her voice was later enhanced with recordings of raccoons, sea otters, and even Spielberg breathing through a vacuum hose. Talk about alien sound design. Number 10. Harrison Ford filmed a scene that was cut. Ford played Elliot's school principal, and they filmed a scene where Ford plays an eccentric authority figure, warning Elliot of the repercussions of his behavior, but Spielberg cut the scene to maintain the story's focus on the children and avoid the recognizable presence of one of Hollywood's leading men. The surface story is heartwarming, but underneath are secrets, cameos, and connections that you probably missed, like number 11, that adults are barely shown on purpose. Most adults are filmed from the waist down, or at a distance. Spielberg wanted the whole movie to reflect a child's eye view of the world. Using the tension he learned from Jaws, he built up the appearance of the only adult. The only early exception is Dee Wallace, who plays Elliot's mother. She's warm, loving, and crucially vulnerable.
Elliot! Sit down.
She's portrayed not as a looming authority figure, but as another one of the kids trying to hold things together. This changes when Peter Coyote's character is revealed fully, and his intentions are finally understood to be similar to Elliot's and just as childlike.
I've been wishing for this since I was 10 years old. I don't want him to die. What can we do that we're not already doing?
Number 12, a galaxy connection and a billion-dollar bet. During the Halloween scene in E.T., one child is dressed as Yoda. It's more than a gag, it's an Easter egg, born of Spielberg's deep friendship with George Lucas. Years later, Lucas returned the favor in The Phantom Menace in 1999, where you can spot E.T.-like aliens called Asogians in the Galactic Senate Chamber. This playful crossover hints that E.T. and Star Wars might technically exist in the same cinematic universe. And their friendships didn't just influence screen cameos. In 1977, Spielberg visited the set of Star Wars and predicted it would outgross Close Encounters. Lucas disagreed and proposed a bet. Each would give the other 2.5% of their film's profits. Star Wars went on to gross billions, meaning Spielberg made tens of millions from a movie he didn't even direct. Number 13, the E.T. puppet cost $1.5 million. Designer Carlo Rambaldi merged wisdom with cuddliness by combining iconic thinkers Albert Einstein and Carl Sandburg with squished up dog features of a pug. The animatronic E.T. had 85 points of facial movement, and it remains one of the most advanced puppets in film history. Number 14, the spaceship was designed by a Star Wars legend. Ralph McQuarrie, who designed for Star Wars, also built the aesthetic for E.T.'s ship. Taking inspiration from Jules Verne and steampunk, he designed the unique aircraft captained by the botanical exploring race. Number 15, Spielberg recut scenes to match the score. John Williams' score for E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial didn't just complement the film, it shaped it. In fact, during the final chase sequence when Elliot and his friends flee with E.T. on their bikes, Spielberg found himself facing a problem. The edited scene didn't align with Williams' sweeping music. Rather than ask Williams to adjust the score to fit the edit, the industry norm by the way, Spielberg did the opposite. He re-edited the entire sequence around the music. Williams' score went on to win the Academy Award for Best Original Score and remains one of the most recognizable in film history. It's a testament to the power of music, not just to accompany storytelling, but to lead it. Number 16. The glowing heart was made with a light bulb and gel. It's just a red light bulb, some gel, and one of the most advanced puppets ever made. No CGI, just movie magic. Now, E.T.'s story didn't end with the credits. Decades later, its legacy is still growing on Earth, in space, and even in theme parks. Number 17. Thank you. Insert your name here. While a film sequel to E.T. was never made, Spielberg gave fans something else, a ride that continues the story. Designed with Spielberg's direct input, the ride lets guests board flying bicycles and soar through moonlit skies. But instead of ending on Earth, the ride takes a surreal turn, transporting visitors to E.T.'s home planet, a glowing alien world filled with bizarre creatures, bioluminescent landscapes, and other members of E.T.'s gentle botany-obsessed species. But the most legendary part is at the end of the ride, E.T. says your name. As you disembark, he turns to you and squeaks out a personal goodbye. Thank you, name here. That charming touch comes from a live operator who inputs guest names as they enter. When it works, it's pure magic. Spielberg insisted on that interactive element to keep the spirit of connection alive, and decades later, even amid bigger and flashier rides. Number 18. Reese's Pieces versus M&M's. Imagine a world where E.T. followed Elliot through the garden and into the house, led by a trail of M&Ms. That was the original plan, but M&Ms declined the offer, and as a result, Reese's Pieces accepted, and sales jumped 65% after the film's release. This success story paved the way for modern product placement in film. Number 19. There was a sequel, sort of. Spielberg scrapped the dark sequel E.T. 2 Nocturnal Fears, but a novel, The Book of the Green Planet, continued E.T.'s story on his home world. In the book, E.T. is unable to forget his bond with Elliot and begins devising a way to return. Number 20. Spielberg still cries watching the ending. Even after decades and dozens of films, Spielberg admits he still gets emotional when Elliot says goodbye, and honestly, so do we. Under the glowing heart and long fingers, E.T. was about something very human, finding connection in a world that doesn't always make sense. It asked us to believe, just for a moment, that love could defy gravity and that lonely hearts can be filled.